Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into file operations. These are fundamental concepts whenever you are required to work with Bash, as it allows users to create, modify, move and manage files efficiently across Linux file systems through the command line. Whether you are involved in handling simple text files or working with large datasets, understanding Bash file operations would help you to automate certain tasks, improving your productivity as well as it allows you to streamline your workflow. In this section, we will try to focus on essential file operations such as creation, reading, writing, copying, moving, and deleting files. And yeah, so let's get started. But before we dive into it, we would have to talk about an important prerequisite for file operations is that you need to be aware of your present working directory in order to understand your own current location within the file structure. In this case, I am located within a larger folder system which is called bash, and when I press ls, you can see that these are a couple of the folders which already exist. And in order to change folders, you basically would execute cd followed by the name of the folder of your choice. As you can see, this is my present working directory, and this is the path or the absolute path of my current working directory. In order to list the files and the folders which are there in my directory or the main directory, I utilize ls, and this would list out all the files and folders. If I type ls-l and hit enter, you would see a detailed information panel appear in front of you with all the attributes associated with each of these files and folders, starting with the identification of each of the files being a directory or a file, followed by the read, write and execute attributes associated for the main user, followed by the same sets for the group as well as for other users on the network. The second column here basically refers to the number of links. Links basically refer to a specific hard location or a memory attribute which is present within your system, which basically refers to that specific data which is stored there, while the third and the fourth columns basically refer to the group and the user. And the last final column here is basically the number of bytes associated with it. And then the last information is basically the latest date of modification. So that's pretty much how this structure looks like, but for the time being we will be working within folder. Let's clear our workspace. So the script for file operations basically involves checking your present working directory, creating your present working directory with the help of mkdir, and as well as you can create your files with help of vi or nano. So let's just try to write a script which would perform all the operations like checking for a current working directory, creating a new file, writing some text into it, reading its contents, as well as moving the file to a specific location. So let's do that. So we will create a new file called file operations.sh, and we will just go into insert mode. We will get our bin bash interpreter into our system, and let's just say we will display the current working directory. Let's just do this, and we will just write echo. We will print out the message into the terminal that this is the current working directory. So something like this. We would basically write pwd. This command, as we just executed in a very brief manner, would depict the data or the full path associated with our current working directory, starting with the root. Let's just now go ahead and do the second bit, which is to list files in the current working directory. Let's just do this, and we would write some structure with some message, files in the directory. We would write ls-l, we would write echo, we will close the message with this straight line. Let's now go ahead at the third part, which is to create a new file. So we would write echo, we will print out the message creating a new file named myfile.txt. Let's set some message like this. We will write touch myfile.txt. We will print out the message file myfile.txt has been created. We will close this message. Let's move on with the third bit, which is writing text to a file. We will write the message writing hello this is a test, let's say test file, into my file.txt. So yeah, we will basically write or append another data, let's say another line of text. Let's say hello, this is test. Here this is the specific message which we would write or append into test file, my file.txt, and we will write the message that this operation was run successfully, text written to my file, and then we'll write echo. We will close our workspace, this section with this dotted line. Let's just again now let's move on to the next bit of reading contents of the same file. For that we will write a message to the user reading the contents of my file.txt. Then we would write cat my file.txt. We will write the message, basically print out the contents of the same, and we would basically close this. Let's just move on to the next bit, which is trying to move the file myfile.txt to a new location, creating, let's say, a directory. Okay, we'll just write something like this. So what we intend to do here is that we would make a new backup folder, mkdir-p backup, and then we'll write, let's move moving myfile.txt to backup directory. Here we would basically write something like this, myfile.txt followed by the destination location. What we have effectively done here is that we are ensuring that backup directory term backup exists, and we then basically move that file to this specific location. We will write this with a message, file moved successfully. then we will write the message. We'll close this message. So yeah, let's move on with the next bit, which is to list the files in the backup directory to confirm the move. So like we have to check whether this operation was successful. So we will basically give out another set of instructions here, like files in backup directory are as follows. Let's type ls-l followed by the specific directory of our interest, and we will just give it out something like this. And yeah, so yeah, this is pretty much the end of the script. So we will basically write something like script has ended, script execution has ended. So yeah, this is something like this, end of script. So this is our file. So we will write bash file operations.sh and hit enter. So you can see that all our commands have been executed. As you can see, the first part of our file operations.sh was to display the current working directory, and you can see that our first PWD execution was successful, with the operation basically returning the full path starting from the root to our present working directory. As such, we can see that specific detail. Later on, we basically move ahead, and okay, here this is somewhat of a spell case inconsistency, but okay, that's fine. We basically move on to listing out the attributes of this files.sh, or all the files within the directory, and here we basically followed up with the creation of our myfile.txt, and we wrote our message hello. Later on, we basically move up with the process of writing certain script text into that and then reading the same, followed by movement of file into another backup directory. And as you can see, we basically again later confirmed whether this specific operation was successful. If you type ls-l, you would see that our files have been created. And yeah, so this is how you basically move ahead. So yeah, so as to recap our shebang operation, let's just read the contents of my file. Okay, files operations.txt. We can basically see that we have the shebang, which tells the bash shell to execute our script. We basically call in our bash interpreter into our script. PWD basically moves up with the process of printing the directory path. ls-l basically lists out the long file format of all the attributes associated with each of the files which are there in the current directory. Later we create the myfile.txt with the touch command. We basically are also writing the message hello, this is text file to myfile.txt. Note that the use of chevrons have different meanings. If you go ahead with single chevron, it will overwrite the data that already pre-exists within file.txt of your choice. However, if you use double chevrons, it will basically append that incoming data to the existing file. We can also move ahead with the second process of reading the contents of the file with the cat command, which basically displays the content into the present working into the terminal. Moving on, we can also create the directory and move the same file into it with the help of mkdir backup. Once that has been done, we basically move myfile.txt to backup, and we basically display the message file movement has been successful. We would also like to confirm this move with the help of ls-l with backup. So yeah, and we basically end with this a message that the execution of this script was done successfully. Note that I basically executed this specific file by typing bash file operations sh, which basically overrides any of the lack of execution attributes that it might have. If you type ls-l and hit enter, you can see what I mean. From my perspective, I do not have the privilege to execute this particular file because I have not provided that execution permission. So if I go ahead and actually execute it normally, you would see that the permission has been denied. So this basically brings us to the second concept here, that every file in Linux usually needs to be given certain set of privileges, which determines whether the user would be able to do any kind of operation with regards to that specific script. So these are called as file these are basically called as file permissions. So with that, you can basically add your permission with the help of the chmod command. Let's give it to the user the executable privilege, and we would write something like file operation.sh. okay, we basically move up, and once you see the attributes, you can see that we have successfully added our executable privilege. This is pretty much what we should I would limit myself to this much with regards to this concept, because this in itself is a large rabbit hole. You can basically add executable privileges to all the members of the network with a plus x. For the user, I use u plus x. For the group, I would use g plus x. For others, I would use o plus x. And here x basically refers to the executable permission. If I do w, I'm basically doing it for the write permission. If I do it for the r permission, it's for the read. And at the same time, I can also remove these permissions. Let's say I'm removing the executable privilege for this file operations.sh, and when I list out the attribute, you can see that the same attribute or privilege that I just provided for me as the user is now removed. So yeah, that's pretty much a very quick overview of file permissions with regards to files in Linux, but I would recommend you to watch and learn about this, because this would go beyond the scope for this specific video. I will clear my workspace. So yeah, let's just move ahead with another concept called as let's just say which is regarding creation and writing towards files. If you remember, I mentioned something regards to chevrons and its use case. So there are different ways of writing and creating into files. So let's just create some demo file demo.txt. So I'll just clear my workspace. So with touch, I just created this file. So this file, if I just try to check the contents, you would see that there are no content as such. So this is basically an empty file. So let's just change that. So here we would like to write, let's say, demo text into this specific file. So I would write demo.txt and hit enter. What this does is that the chevron basically directs our echo statement demo text into demo.txt. Here, let's say I just see what the content is. You can see that our operation was able to successfully enter demo.txt, this specific statement, into demo.txt. But if I again do some other text insertion operation with the single chevron, what happens is that I would effectively overwrite this specific statement. Let's write another line of text. and hit enter, you would see that that old line of text, which was demo text, is now gone. So what we have done effectively is that we have basically overwritten our demo.txt. So let's make change that. We would basically hit demo text again, and this time, for the process of appending this specific statement into demo.txt, I would use the double chevrons. So here, let me just try to read the contents of demo.txt. You can see that what has happened is that we have successfully appended this second line of text into demo.txt. So yeah, you can also do some other different methodologies. Let's say if you want to use printf basically is to write your text in a formatted manner into this file. Let's say writing into demo.txt in a formatted way, say formatted manner, and we will basically append into demo.txt and hit enter. Let's see the content. So we have basically just written another formatted text into this specific file. We can also do this process of writing our data into demo.txt with Nano and VI editor. So Nano and VI, if you are not already familiar, are text editors which basically allow you to write into files. So let's just say I just open demo.txt. I basically make some alteration and edits which are required, let's say which are needed, so I can do that as well. So we basically have a bunch of editing abilities right now. In order to make sure you are saving your specific edits, you would press Ctrl X. It would ask you whether you would like to save this modification. You press Y for yes or N to disconfirm this. When you hit enter, you basically have saved your changes. So yeah, that's one another way of writing into a file. So yeah, you can also use writing into a file with the help of the cat command. Till now we were basically using the echo command, but you can also write into files with the help of the cat command as well. So let's go ahead and write some random text. Let's say if we have, let's just try to my file, let's say, okay, let me just clear my workspace. Okay, yeah, so if I write my cat demo.txt and hit enter, right now I'm able to write my text through the terminal into demo.txt. However, in this case, since I have only used or mentioned a single chevron, it will overwrite all the content. So let me exit out of this before I write anything into demo.txt. And once I hit enter, okay, you can already see that I have overwritten all the previous contents of demo.txt. So let's just say we write some random text. So let's say writing into demo.txt with cat demo.txt, some format as such. Yeah, and once I hit Ctrl Z and exit, you can basically read what you just did. So you can just hit enter. Okay, wait a minute. demo.txt. Inside demo.txt, let me just exit. Let me try that again. This should work. Demo.txt inside the file. Okay, what you should do is that instead of pressing Ctrl Z, you should press Ctrl D in order to save your changes. Otherwise, your changes won't be saved. As I previously mentioned, since you use single chevron, it will override the contents. So in this case, I will be using double chevrons to open my another line of text into demo.txt. Right, something like this. Control D to save your changes, and let's just read demo.txt, and you can see, oh, just spelling mistake, and as you can see, I have successfully written another line of text into it. Let's just try to do some other manner of writing into my file.txt with the help of certain placeholders. Here, placeholders basically allow you to represent certain data with the help of the printf statement. So printf, as you know, is our ticket to writing data in a formatted manner into certain files. So in this case, let me just confirm if demo.txt is existing in the present working directory. Yes, it does. Let's just write printf, and let's just write some information like name, %s -n age. Here what we are doing is that we are trying to represent the data name and age in a formatted way, whereby which -n basically is a new line character. We would basically mention %d -n in order to basically move on to the next line. %s basically stands for a string placeholder. %d basically stands for a integer placeholder. After this, we would basically write the terms or the specific string that we would like to represent in this format, and let's just say we write this into my file.txt in the present working directory of folder, and hit enter, and you can go ahead and read the content, and you can see that our text file basically now has name, which points to Alice, and age 25, that we just gave as a format with the help of printf. Yeah, so that's one way of doing modifications to your file. So let's say we write a bash script which allows you to basically perform file creation as well as writing. So let's just say the first step would be basically defining the file name. Second step would be creating that empty file, and then we would basically write some text into that specific file. We can then again append some text to it, display the contents, and then let's just add the format entry of some name and value, and then finally display the entire content. So for that, we will clear our workspace again, and then let's go ahead and write some text into our, let's say, create file or a search. So we'll go into insert mode. We will write bin/bash. And let's say we define the file name, we write file, and then we'll give it something like sample.txt. Let's say we create this empty file. We'll write echo creating an empty file, write $file so as to display our value. We will create this empty file with the touch command, let's write text using echo into this file. So we'll write echo, writing, let's say hello. Let's say just simple text hello to this $file, and yeah, then we'll just write something like hello, this is bash scripting. Yeah, and we will go ahead and write this into this empty file with the help of the single chevron. Let's just go ahead and now append some more text information. So yeah, let's just write echo, appending more text data to $file. So we will write echo learning to file operations. Here, since we are appending to the file, always remember to mention your double chevron, otherwise you will overwrite your content. Yeah, so let's just try to display the current let's say content. So we'll write echo reading the content. We will write cat $file, and here we will basically write a dashed line to just close this message. Let's just go ahead and use printf just like we did for writing formatted text. So yeah, let's just write echo addition of formatted text using printf. Let's just close this message over here. We will write printf and mention user, which is %s. We will write a new line character, and then we will write id, some id value, like let's just say I guess %d. Let's go ahead and create a new line character, and yeah, here we will write some, let's say abc, and some random text, and let's just give it a string value of 101, and we will append this data into our file. Yeah, and let's just finish this with a final message. So here we will write echo final content. So we'll write something like this. Yeah, so we'll write cat $file. This is okay. Here we will end this, and we will write here bash. We will do something like, let me just check the yeah, so we'll write something like this. Yeah, so as you can see, we basically went ahead, defined sample.txt. We basically created sample.txt. We wrote the message, some message, hello message, into sample text, as the sample text was empty. Using the append operation with the double chevron, we basically appended some text data to sample.txt, and later on we went ahead and read the contents, which is hello, this is bash scripting learning to do file operations, and we close the message. Later on we went ahead and added some text data with the help of, let's say, user information and ID, using the printf formatted text manipulation. Here we have done so, and we are later on moving ahead and displaying the contents as a final part of the script. So yeah, just to confirm, this file does exist, which is like this: sample.txt. We will write cat sample.txt to confirm the contents. So yeah, that's how we move and do things on it. So you might already know that the cat operation, command basically allows you to read sections or segments of the bash of the text file. So yeah, in reading files in bash, you can also do it in different ways. So since by default we basically were using bash, uh, let's say bash sorry, not bash cat sample.txt, this would display all the contents of the file. But if you write less followed by the name of the file sample.txt, it would open up a file for the navigation purpose. You can basically scroll up and down. That's the thing which makes it pretty interesting to use with less. We basically can exit out of this with the help of Control C. Similar to less, there is also more. If you write more followed by the name of the file sample.txt, it would allow you to move forward while you scroll. In this case, the content of sample.txt is not much. Let's just say if you have some lorem ipsum data into let's just say we create some lorem ipsum data and demo this specific property into let's just say, for the purpose of the demonstration, let's just get some of that with a lorem ipsum generator. We will create lorem ipsum txt and go into insert mode. We basically paste our selection. So yeah, we basically have some lorem ipsum data. We basically write and quit. So let's just clear this and try the command again with. So here you can see that with more at the bottom right, and you can see that we basically have 24% more as we scroll down. So that's just an indicator. As you can see, it basically allows you to scroll across the file that you are opening. So with the help of head -n followed by, let's say, a specific number, let's say 10. So what this does is that we are able to view the first 10 lines of the lorem ipsum text file. So that's what that does. In this case, why this happened is that here you would see that, oh, but in your case I have gotten more than 10 lines. That's because when I pasted the selection here, what has happened is that all the text that has appeared here is actually on the same line, and this does look like a paragraph when it appears on the terminal, but that's not the case. So for that I will have to basically open up my lorem ipsum file. Let's go to nano for the purpose of this, make it a little bit easy. As you can see, all my text data is actually on basically on 4 lines, but obviously if you break it down it's far more. In this case I'm just randomly segregating the text across different lines to demonstrate the different manners in which you can do so. We can try again with the other lines of text. Yeah, so just to make it far more clear, whenever you use head hyphen followed by a specific number which you are specifying, that would basically display those many number of lines. So yeah, let's just finish it off here. Okay, let's just quit. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do that again. As you can see, now we are only seeing the first 10 lines. We can again modify this to the first 5 lines and you will only see the first 5 lines. Similarly, if you write tail -n followed by 5 and lorem ipsum.txt, you will see that only the last 5 lines would be shown. um, so yeah, that's one another way of reading the contents of a file. More and less basically have a paged output formats with an interactive scrolling feature, but other than that, they are more or less the same. The only difference is that they basically show the head and the bottom section of the files each. um, so yeah, that's uh, let's say we will now try to focus on the deletion of files with the help of bash. Let's say we have a bunch of txt files. You can basically use the rm command for each of this. So let's say we want to get rid of our demo.txt. We write rm followed by the name of the file that we are interested in removing. We write demo.txt, and you can see that that file got removed. But here, if you accidentally want to make sure that you do not do the process unintentionally, you basically write rm-i followed by the name of the text file. Once you do so and hit enter, there would be a message which will pop out onto the terminal asking you whether you would like to confirm this deletion. This is a yes or no question or y or n question. So in this case, I would not like to delete this file, so I hit n and hit enter. And you can see that if I type ls, that lorem ipsum text file does exist. Let's say if you want to forcefully delete a file with no prompt, you would write the same command as before, but instead of -i you write -f. In this case, we have a lot of text data in backup. Yeah, and in case of directories, you write it as rm-rf backup, or the directory of your choice, and you can see that that backup folder and its contents have been forcefully been deleted. So yeah, I hope you learned something today. It was a lot to cover, but I hope you learned, and we will talk about some other stuff in the upcoming videos. So yeah, I hope I will see you in the next one, and bye.